What is up, Wizards fans? Welcome to another Believe in Wizards podcast. I'm Matt Modderno. He's Jahadi White. This is the Thanksgiving episode of the Believe in Wizards podcast. We've made it to this point in the season already. Jahadi, happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful to get to do the show with you every week. So hope you have a great holiday with your family.
Oh, man. I appreciate the sentiments. You're getting me all emotional this morning.
Yeah, exactly. We're starting early today.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours as well. I hope you enjoy the family. Headed out?
Headed out later today. Gonna eat lots of turkey. Gonna watch some football, hopefully. Watch some Wizards basketball tonight, but should be a good weekend.
Yeah, it should be. Some good football games on this weekend. Some good teams.
Yeah.
Usually not all the teams are good this weekend, but with the NFL going, it's not too bad.
With the Lions actually being good, it really changes the Sunday or the Thursday football dynamic for once.
Right?
Yeah, it's been a while. As always, we're brought to you by Stateside Vodka and their Surfside Hard Iced Teas, hard lemonades, hard all of them. They all go well with Thanksgiving turkey, so go out and get some. And we're brought to you by BetOnline. If you want to bet on those football games, it's your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for every sport you can think of, but especially Thanksgiving football. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to place all your wagers. And you could bet on your favorite casino and card games right from your phone. Go to the website and place your first deposit with our code BLEAV for 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. Okay, so since the last time we talked, the Bucks beat the Wizards 142-129. This was one of those ones where I think the score is actually pretty reflective of what I thought the game looked like. There's been a bunch this year where the Wizards are down 25, and then that scrappy bench unit gets it down to like 12, and the box score doesn't look as bad as the game was. But I thought the Wizards hung in there pretty well. I thought the offense was pretty free-flowing, other than not being able to guard Giannis at all, which most teams have a problem with. Like, I'm not too disappointed in this effort or this result. So I don't know. What do you think of this game, Johnny?
I don't think we did bad defensively. I was impressed how we played offensively.
Yeah.
And how we played really as a unit. It seemed like we had very good chemistry offensively with that team. Very unselfish, and guys were not only matching their averages, they were going above them, and that was probably the most in sync I've seen us offensively all year.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Kuzma,
especially against that's a good team, good defensive team. So they didn't let up on us offensively. I mean, defensively at all. We were really just in sync. It looked like we were ready to play that game.
Kuzma, I thought, was especially locked in and seemed really dedicated to getting like other people involved and being like point Kuzma. And I think that's when this Wizards group specifically is at their best. So he had a career high 13 assists. He was 10 of 15 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. Like, you can't really ask that much more from him. He got beat up a little bit by Giannis, but at this point, like, who doesn't? I don't think anyone else did particularly better. So I have no complaints about him. He had 3 rebounds. I would have liked to see a few more defensive rebounds, but he was leading the break, so that's fine. 2 steals, 1 block. Coulibaly, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 assist. He's now recorded at least 1 steal in 5 games so far this season. Tyus Jones had 18 points on 9 of 13 shooting, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Didn't really do much for me defensively, but that's okay. It's hard to guard Dame Lillard too. Gafford had 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. He's now recorded multiple blocks in 8 games so far this season, which is pretty good. And then finally buried the lead here a little bit. I thought this was probably the best Jordan Poole game of the season. I still don't think he was amazing because he was kind of inefficient, but the shots were like more in the flow of the offense, I thought, to your point. Like he looked like he was at least trying to fit in with all the other guys. So got up to 30 points. And he was 11 of 26 from the field, 3 of 9 from 3. So, like, not like the most elite shooting performance, but I don't think he broke the offense at least.
No, so yeah, to me, he played more in the structure of the offense, and he did help us out. Right, he played more in the structure of the offense. We still got to get him in sync a lot more. I feel like he's the player that's kind of sticks out as far as doing his own thing. Remember that song? One of these kids doing his own thing, not like the others.
Yeah.
That's awesome. He's still that black sheep as far as just playing his own game sometimes. Yeah, what I do see him trying
Mhm.
to play within the structure of the team. But it naturally him, he just, he does his own thing. I mean, yeah, I think he did great scoring wise, assist wise, no
He gives you
facilitating.
nothing else. Yeah, he
Yeah,
gives you
he
nothing
didn't
else.
do it. He just went and he's there to light up the scoreboard,
Sure.
but he's there to also evolve,
Mhm.
right? And so I think he just has to evolve. I mean, I, I know he loves the game of basketball. You can tell.
Yeah.
Now he just has to love winning.
Yeah,
He
play
likes
winning basketball, right?
yeah, he likes theatrical basketball,
Yeah.
right? And like, I mean, if he don't stop playing today, he'll be on a basketball court every day. You can look at him and tell he's a gym rat type of
Mhm.
player. But I think he likes his game.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
right? And so you have to be a fan of your game to even be in the NBA, but you also have to be able to help others on your team get better as well.
I'm hopeful that like this was at least a sign of him like slowly making that transition to just a different role. Like we're asking a lot of him, I think, maybe more than we realized. Like sometimes guys are just well suited to be that sixth man, bench scorer, freelancer, come out and just cook with a bench unit where there aren't a lot of scorers. And now you're like, hey, come be the number one offensive option on an NBA team full time and expecting him to do it consistently. I think that might just take some time. And I'm hopeful that like there's light at the end of the tunnel here. And maybe we're starting to see like little glimpses of, okay, like he can start to get this. But I don't know. I also think there are some guys that just they can't do that. Like they can't transition from just freelancer, break the offense kind of guy.
Well, that's a lot. There's a lot of accountability that comes with that,
Sure.
right? And he's young. You got to realize this.
Yeah. 24.
What year is this?
This
Third,
is
fourth,
fourth year, I think.
fourth year. So he's young. He's never had accountability. He played into a position with the Warriors by just going rogue,
Mhm.
right? And they're like, well, his rogueness was working.
Right.
So now we found another score.
Mhm.
So what got him here?
Oh, sorry. This is year 5. Sorry.
Year 5. Okay.
Yeah.
So what got him to this point to be with the some other things were involved as well. It had nothing to do with
Sure.
basketball. But what got him to this point at year 5 to be with the Wizards and be able to have a contract like he has and be a primary starter and a face of a team was all about him being gung-ho going rogue, right? And working himself. So he put himself in this position. Now we're saying, hey, we like your game. We like your natural ability. Now let's grow from here to make you an all-around player. And to me, that's the struggle within himself. Is hey, I like my natural ability. I'm a very theatrical player, right? Uh, I'm
You
a
got a flair for the dramatic,
I got a
like
flair. I love the flair in the game, right?
yeah.
I love the flair in the game. I may not take the game as serious as I should, right?
Mhm.
But I know I can put up points.
Yeah.
So now there's just a struggle between how do we not lose Jordan Poole, but also how do we evolve him, and then how do we add accountability to him,
Mhm.
and make him also love the game in a winning sense more.
Yeah. The one thing I saw from him this game that kinda stood out to me a little bit, and it's something I'd question about him, is it's hard to be, like, a number 1 scoring option in the NBA if you don't get to the free throw line and get a few easy points along the way, and I think he had been averaging, like, less than 3 free throws a game, which is, like, almost tough to do when you have the ball as much as he does, and maybe, like, getting stronger and getting, to the rim more will help with that over time because like, he does get, like, knocked down a pretty good amount, like, he's second behind Gafford in times falling down so far this season, I would imagine. but he went 5 for 5 from the line last night or 2 nights ago, and he got to the line early, and I thought that helped maybe get a little rhythm. That was what they always taught us growing up is like, hey, if you're not making shots, like get a couple easy ones, get to the rim,
Yeah.
get to the free throw line, warm yourself up a little bit, and that might be something for him to kind of focus on is just trying to draw a couple fouls and get a few easy ones, see the ball go in the rim, and maybe that'll help like a little bit. I don't know, but it's something I
Yeah,
would
but
be trying to
that's
stress.
just about growth, right? That's
Yeah, sure.
about growth. If you notice, guys guarantee to get the best players guarantee every night to get at least 10 points from the free throw line.
Yeah.
Right. That's a part of their system of their personal game.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can. All right, let me break down my game. I know I can rim run. If I'm LeBron, I'm a rim run. I get at least 6 from there. I'm guaranteed to get 10 from the free throw because even if I make a miss and I'm gonna make sure I get fouled in certain ways. Now the rest is on me. But this 10 to 15 points are guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
But that comes from just growth of the game.
Sure.
So and I think he can get to that point.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what we all kind of expected. Like day one, he would do some of those things more with the ball, and it's just really hard to get 20 plus points off ISO long jumpers we've crossed over 10 times alone in the corner. Like the best players in the world can't do that every night. Yeah.
We're kind of faulting him from doing what he knows.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so I saw Neil DeLaw of Hoop District posted a video of him sitting with David Vanterpool at practice for like an hour or something and just like watching film on an iPad. Like I hope that's kind of what, hey, you could have taken this one to the rim or you had a lane here. Like that's what we talked about last episode. So I hope that's kind of, what they're keying in on. One thing I found a little more concerning than any of the stuff, there's all kinds of stats going around about he's a minus 14 plus minus. It's the worst for a player that takes more than 15 field goal attempts in NBA history, which is kind of a bad sign. It definitely reinforces what we've seen on the court. But the thing that worried me is some of his teammates have started talking about, like, in a nice way, but hey, we know Jordan is struggling right now. Kuzma said everybody's behind him and we know he'll get out of it. He's a worker. He loves basketball, very passionate. I think sometimes he just overthinks himself a little bit. Today was a great step in the right direction for him. But he did kind of focus in on that, like, we know he's struggling thing. Tyus Jones said he's probably putting too much pressure on himself, but it comes from a place of care and wanting to be great and wanting to succeed, wanting to play well for not only himself, but for his teammates, for the city. I believe all that stuff. I believe that they believe all that stuff, but you really don't hear teammates acknowledge publicly too often how much one of their teammates is having a tough time. Like that, when everyone in the locker room kind of realizes that the same way the fans do. I mean, you guys know basketball, obviously you realize it, but like to say it, I thought was kind of surprising that even in a nice way, they're all kind of putting out there like, Jordan's hurting us a little bit right now.
I think it's no question he's hurting them a little bit, right? Yeah. They know it, he knows it, the fans know it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's not
why sugarcoat it, right?
Yeah, that's not sugarcoated. But I think they're also being supportive.
Yeah,
I think they're being supportive of him. I think he is struggling.
For sure.
I think he is taking it personal, right? I think, and it's new for him. This is a new situation for him, right? So the old Jordan that was good enough isn't now good enough, right? Now they're not saying that we need more. We need more. You need to learn how to. You need to learn how to read the floor. You need to learn how to learn your teammates. Learn how to read your teammates. All these things, mm-hmm. right? Yep. And so just imagine, and hey, you're a pro, so you got to accept it. Just imagine how much information is coming to him in so many different, avenues at mm-hmm. one time. And he has to process this all and then regurgitate it back on the court and grow in a matter of minutes, which wouldn't be so bad if he didn't love his unserious game as much. Right. So, but what happens, it comes off as he doesn't care. Mm. by some of the things he does out in the court, right?
Sure.
And then as a fan, you're like, well, you just shot a
You,
crazy shot.
you eye
And you
roll
just
when he's
went
getting
back. Now
blocked
you
by
just went and did
Porzingis.
it again,
Yeah.
right? So now I'm like, well, this guy just out here just playing street ball,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's the issue of how it comes across and how it makes the coaching staff look, how it makes his other teammates look, how it makes himself look,
Yeah.
right? And then certain decisions where he just have to understand, hey, now I got to think much more like a point guard instead of like just a shooting guard.
Yep.
And now when he's making point guard decisions, you're like, you have to understand that the clock has to be under 2 minutes first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That was tough.
So it's just about growth. Hey, he's going to grow, and he has no choice but to grow, or because eventually it's going to be a lesson learned, and he's going to be like, man, I haven't listened, and now I'm finding myself in a space where, you know, I'm gonna have to grow up, or I'm gonna see myself being traded and moved around and not being valued like I expect it to be, right? And so now those type of things, I got to mature really fast, and so either he matures fast, right? And it's a struggle. You can tell it's a struggle, and you can tell he's a person who's confident in his way of playing. Sometimes information probably is a challenge.
Yep.
But he just has to grow. And his teammates are being supportive because they're the first ones who's every day watching the little steps.
Mm-hmm. I think that's, to your point, I think that's probably a good sign that they think there's at least a process there of him trying to make some of those strides, and maybe they're seeing some growth there as well. Like, you can tell when guys are frustrated with teammates. It didn't really come off that way as much as just like, I was still just kind of surprised they said it the way that they did. You have to be pretty bad, I feel like, for guys to come outright and say that. But I'm with you. Like, I think this is going to be the year for him to grow and learn. And I think it's easier as fans to be patient when you see, like, okay, all right, that looked a little better. Like, okay, here's a 30-point game. Okay, it wasn't crazy efficient, but there's at least a few bright spots. Like, there was like a 2-week stretch there where he was just like a black hole of bad shots. And then you're like, oh shit. Like, okay, at least when you get a few of these, it's like, okay, I can take a deep breath. To your point, like, he's learning, he'll grow, he'll pick some things up.
Think about how we were at the beginning of the season. Like, whoa, what are we watching? What's this?
That was tough,
right? It's like this is a show,
yep,
and it's not the good show, you know. So, and now we're like, okay, we see him kind of
something
more
there.
becoming in sync with this. Okay, see he's choosing better shots, much more better shots than he was before. And then sometimes you kind of still like, oh, okay, we don't need to step back from the free throw line all the way to the 3-point line and hoist it up, you know. But that's his game. That's been his game.
Yeah, you got to give him some leeway to do those kind of things and express himself a little bit. I think there's some guys that, like, I think coaches will just budget, like, here, there'll be 3 bad shots a game of him just doing some crazy shit, and we can live with it because he does all these other things well. I'm less hung up typically in, like, shooting percentages, because I do think just, like, being able to take a certain amount of shots in an NBA game is an underrated skill. Like, there are plenty of guys on the Wizards that could not get off 26 shots in a game. And sometimes you just got to put the ball on the rim and give your teammates some chance to get some putbacks, or, like, things like that. So I'm not, he went 35% as opposed to 41%. Like, I can live with that.
But one assist is unacceptable.
That's the part that bothers me. Do something else. If you're struggling in other ways, get someone else involved, draw some attention, drive and kick, like, just something. I mean, that's his, I looked this up earlier in the season. I don't have it in front of me, but his per 100 possession assist numbers last year were almost the same as Steph Curry's. Like, he created for other people in that organization, but they also had other guys where you can't help off of Klay Thompson to double Jordan Poole. So he got a lane to then drive and kick and things like that. This year, we can now just game plan to stop Jordan Poole, and he can't seem to do anything else for anybody else, let alone for himself sometimes.
But he can.
He needs to.
Can. I witnessed it. I watched it, and he did a great job. Sure. He did it against Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, there's some signs of life,
and he drew the entire defense in. But when I watched him that game, it looked like he was making a point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you think I can't do this? It seemed like he was, instead of doing it
because it's good basketball.
Because it's good basketball. Yeah. It felt like he was more making it because that was the main thing in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Was say, I'm going to penetrate and kick. And he was in his style of game, how fast he is and how many places he can get on the floor at once, opened up so many other players.
Yeah, I agree.
So they're not asking him anything he can't do.
Sure.
It's the struggle of him trying to synchronize and mix it all together into one big pot, right? Because he's, right now he's one way or the other as far as the trick ponies go. He one trick pony this way or one trick pony that way. We need both of the. We need all the herd in. Everything, all your attributes. Let's put them in and make a complete game, and then we'll figure out, okay, now how can we mold this and grow with this?
If we could get, I don't need the full 13 assists, but the way Kuzma played in that Bucks game, if you can get something like that from Poole and get that from both of them, where there's like a really good balance of, all right, I'm going to score low 20s, but I'm going to have almost double-digit assists, like, then now we're talking. Like, that might be a real offense.
That's exactly what we need.
Yeah. So
we don't need a 40-point game out of him.
No. Well, there might be some night where you need that, or he's got a mismatch, or he's hot, or whatever, but you don't need an inefficient 40-point night.
Yeah. But that came after what, a 7-8 point night?
Yeah, exactly. It was
so everything is a point right now.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'm going to come out and I'm going to show you all that I can.
And I'm just going to shoot the lights out, and I'm going now. How does that help anyone?
Yeah, I'm totally.
But other than yourself,
right? It helps. Yeah, it helps the box score. Helps whoever bet on you, maybe. But that's really about it. Somebody who did play pretty well and got some actual praise and credit for it. Bilal Coulibaly, Bijan Todd of Monumental Sports asked Giannis about, hey, you have a similar background to Bilal, coming from overseas as a younger raw player. Like, any thoughts on his game? Any advice? And Giannis gave him some solid advice. I think straightforward stuff like, hey, continue to work hard, be coachable, spend a lot of time in the weight room, and keep getting stronger. Giannis said, I had a bad night, I went to the gym after. I had a good night, I went to the gym after. Had a good game, went to the gym the next morning. Like, consistently, putting in the effort to keep getting better and improving. But he also said he wasn't scared of the moment, and the sky is going to be the limit for him. And then Bijan also asked Dame Lillard about him as well. And I thought Coulibaly did the best job of anyone on the Wizards of guarding Dame for most of that game. And it seemed like Dame agreed with him. He said he looked the part. He used his length pretty well. He didn't come off like he was worried or scared or nothing like that. He has a chance to be a really good player. And they seemed like kind of genuinely recognizing that, this guy's got some stuff. And the Wizards started out with Deni Avdija guarding Dame Lillard, which I didn't think was the best matchup for him, and Kuzma guarding Giannis. And I think they gave up on that pretty quickly. And eventually, when Coulibaly came in, he took Lillard, and Deni started guarding Giannis. And that seemed to work a little bit better for them. But, these guys know, everyone in the league, when you play against somebody that's got real upside as a 19-year-old rookie, you can tell pretty fast, that guy's going to be something. And I feel like guys of that level don't just say that as lip service if they don't think hey, he can be a really good player. So I was encouraged by that.
Well, when you're playing against a guy like that, you can tell how he's reading you.
Yeah.
Right. You can tell first of all, you can tell that, okay, he knew what his assignment was.
Yeah.
He took time on his assignment.
Mm-hmm.
He knows at least 3 or 4 of your moves, 3 or 4 of your counters.
Yeah, he wasn't biting on pump fakes and stuff.
Right.
He was solid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So he understood your game. And so when you're thinking, okay, that's a 19-year-old,
and
he's playing me very experienced, right? But that guy's a pro.
Yeah. He's
been a pro, and what we look at it as he cool, he calm, he collective, he doesn't get rattled. I look at it as his basketball IQ is crazy.
Yeah, and his preparedness, like, to your point, like,
Yeah,
he seemed like he came into that game knowing what to pay attention to or not.
right. And he's done it many times before.
Yep.
Right. He he prepares himself to
Mhm.
play. Right. He studies the game. He understands his assignments. Right. He understands time and space. He understands angles. He understands reads. He understands um, being being a step quicker in certain positions.
Mm.
Right. He understands spots. I watch him and just dissect him. I'm like, I'm not watching
Yeah.
a rookie.
It's a fourth-year guy. Yeah.
No, yeah. Just his knowledge of the game is very experienced.
Mhm.
And for this level of game, his knowledge of the game is very experienced.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Because and he does so many things that's unexpected. And he's like, damn, who was that? Sometimes I look like, is that Gafford to just not block that shot like that? Then the dude come down. I'm like, hold up, that's Coulibaly, right?
The headband's been throwing me off a couple times too,
Yeah,
and
and I'm like, oh man, this dude can do he can do a little bit of everything.
Mhm. I think that's the vision. I think they saw a guy that can contribute, like, in all facets of basketball, and I want more players like that on the team in the future. I hope that that's, like, a key thing they keep looking for. Coulibaly also said with his first NBA check, he plans to buy his mom a car. Jahadi, what was the first big purchase you made with your first big NBA check?
First big part, same thing. It was bought my mom a house.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, bought my mother a house and bought her a dream car.
Nice.
That stopped being a dream car after about 2 months. She needed.
Jeez.
Oh, it's actually too small. What mom was your dream car when you wanted a mini dream car? Like it wasn't gonna work. So, but yeah, bought her a house, bought a car.
That's cool.
Mhm.
I
That's
always
what we
love hearing
do.
that kind of stuff. You can tell about guys, I think, when it's like, well, I bought $100,000 watch. It's like, that was the number one thing you went out and bought.
Nah,
Like, that you save that for the second paycheck, right?
I probably still didn't even have a watch.
Yeah. Especially that rookie year too, right? Like, it's like,
Oh, those 2 years, those
yeah,
2 first years, I couldn't buy anything.
I think a second round pick and things like that, especially the money they made, you guys have made
Hey,
then compared to now, is a very
I was
big.
paying back loans.
Exactly. You pay back loans,
Right.
agent fees, like,
Yeah.
all that taxes are pretty wild. So I
But
think it
once I
goes a
got
lot
the big
quicker.
one, I said, go find you a house.
That's the move. That's
Hmm.
awesome. All right. So just a couple other things here to clean up. I forget who tweeted this, so apologies for not attributing it, but I saw the comparison between Giannis's age 19 rookie season and Coulibaly's age 19 rookie season. So Giannis, 25 minutes, Coulibaly, 26 minutes. Giannis, 7 points on 5.5 field goal attempts. Coulibaly, 8.5 points on 6 field goal attempts. Giannis, 41% from the field. Coulibaly, 52%. Giannis, 34% from or 35% from the three-point line. Coulibaly, 46%. Giannis, 4 rebounds. Coulibaly, 4 rebounds. Giannis about 2 assists. Coulibaly about 2 assists. Giannis about a steal and a block. Coulibaly about a steal and a block. I'm not saying he'll be Giannis.
Giannis 7 feet,
Yeah,
Coulibaly 6'9".
yeah. He's gaining on him though.
Let's not lose our mind here.
No, but still, I mean, I'm not mad at it. I mean, obviously, Giannis put in a shit ton of work, and he actually grew after he got drafted too, which maybe Coulibaly will keep growing also here a little bit too. But uh, it's still something to think about that not all these guys come in and immediately from day one are scoring 20 points a game as rookies. Like there's some levels to this, and I think we should just be happy with what we're getting from Coulibaly so far. But the ceiling is
Well,
still
we didn't
big.
expect all this.
We did not. I didn't expect all
No,
this for sure.
I expected something.
Yeah,
You,
but not this.
you know what I said. You remember? I told you I was like, man, it's gonna be a surprise.
Yeah, I know.
I
That was
think the
your.
best player we out of all the players we got is Coulibaly, right? I said
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Still, I didn't see all of this.
Yeah, same.
Right? I didn't see all the intangibles
Sure.
that.
He's been better with the ball than I thought, and creating for
Yeah,
other people has been good, and I didn't expect to see that.
he reminds me of a good, work like a Scottie Pippen type.
Yeah, I've heard French Scottie Pippen a couple times as the
Right.
comp, and
He
I could
remind
see
me.
that.
So instead of Giannis, I feel like he will grow into a more of a Scottie Pippen type, but more of a worker type. A guy that's gonna just be there in the right spots, get you some right, get downhill. He's only going to grow, and he's not. And I'm not saying he's going to grow because he has so much more game to experience, but or where I can see parts in his game that I don't see yet.
Mhm.
It's just the fact of his age alone.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You'll naturally get better just by doing
But
and working
this
on
guy
stuff, and
plays like this at 19.
yeah. At 21, it's gonna be wild.
That's not name me a 19-year-old player doesn't play this sound and this cerebral.
No, not for a guy that in the short amount
Most
of time.
19, yeah, most 19-year-old players play
Right. Like a
with
19-year-old player.
with
Yeah.
wild talent,
Mhm.
right?
Sure.
I don't really even know how talented he is because he plays so smart.
Yeah.
So
True.
we don't know what's in the actual what's all in the toolbox.
I would actually like to see him steal a little of that from Jordan Poole and be the freelance,
I
like, kinda
don't know.
wild someti
No,
I'm not
no.
saying all the time, but, like, I would like to see Coulibaly break the offense every once in a while and just see what he can do if he ISOs or, I'd like to know what else is in the bag. That's all I'm saying.
That's
I don't want
not
him to pick
him.
up bad habits. I'm not saying for long term, but, even the best
That's
players
the
sometimes just
typical
gotta.
NBA guy.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's the typical. That's why Coulibaly is doing such a good job because you don't have to worry about all of the crap.
Yeah, I know I'm with you. I'm not suggesting that he never, like, that he becomes Jordan Poole full time, but, like, you have to be able to, like, freelance a little bit, I think. I
But he
mean,
has.
yeah, and I'd like just
Getting
a little bit
downhill.
more.
When he does choose to go downhill, he's very effective.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. Uh, Same thing in the chat. Josue Gonzalez said, "Feels like Coulibaly has the chance to be a walking paint touch when he's the final product." I He can do that now. I think he can get by guys and get to the rim pretty easily. So, that's been pretty cool to see. All right, let's shift gears here just a little bit. Sam Amico, NBA insider, which I don't know how credible he is, to be honest. I think there's some stuff on Twitter about him like kind of blowing a lot of these reporting, but just throwing that out there for a grain of salt. Said the Wizards are expected to look to move forward Danilo Gallinari ahead of the February trade deadline and even closer to the middle of December, and throughout Landry Shamet and one other person on here as well. I think Tyus Jones was the other one that mentioned. So good, like, no offense to Gallinari. He's been actually kind of better offensively than I expected for him to be at this point. Shamit's been pretty good defensively, not shooting super well, but there's no long-term need for either of those guys to be on the roster. If you can make a trade for anything, those veteran guys would probably be happier on a contending team anyway. So do everybody a solid, and I think move on from them would be great. And if teams want to trade for them and we get something back for it, that's even better.
But you said Denny as well, right?
No, it was Gallinari, Tyus, and Landry Shamet, I think, were the three that he
Oh
mentioned.
yeah. Yeah, Shaman is now looking a little bit better, and I think it's because they are putting him out there.
The defense is good, and he takes good shots. He just hasn't
Yeah.
made that much yet.
And you seen the dunk the other night was crazy.
That was nice. Yeah.
But like I said the other day, I think they're putting him out there on display to actually, get some value out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The more he plays, if he plays well, we can probably get some value back. And I think he's kind of adding some value to his name right now.
I think so. I mean, I haven't been. He's not taking wild shots. He's just not making shots that he's made his whole career, and that could be just a product of not getting a real camp in, being hurt to start the year. Like, he might have to kind of work his way into this a little bit, I don't have any doubts that he can go out and hit wide open threes. And I'm a contending team. I could use a guy like that. So as long as he
Right.
defends, which he's done well, I would be interested.
No, and I think he's going to garner some interest.
Yeah,
And
that's the hope.
the guys that we're talking about, Gallinari was surprisingly much better offensively than I expected.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, no complaints there. It's just the other stuff. He looks very slow and
Yeah, yeah,
not guarding a whole lot. But if he goes, he's still been the backup center. You got to find somebody else to come in at that point to be another big, unless you plan on letting Muscala do it. I don't I don't know how well that will work at this point, but it's a lot to ask on Gafford. He's playing a career high about 25 minutes a game. By all accounts, been better, been pretty good. It's still a lot to ask of him to have no backup. So if I don't know, if you move on from Gallinari, I think you have to have a plan at least, and I'm sure they would, but
you do.
I don't know what that is.
I agree.
Uh,
Um,
in,
well, we have this conversation millions of times. We know what we if you move on from those two, you have to bring in someone who can protect the paint.
yeah, preferably a young guy to try to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Fine said trade them for second round picks and promote Amarui, John Butler, and Jared Butler to the regular roster. I think they're going to happily keep those guys on two ways for the full year and get a few cheap dudes and try to use those roster spots on other guys to evaluate. Might as well use up all your potential spots to look at as many guys as possible and see them in your system. So I doubt they would promote any of the three, let alone all three of them. Maybe Amarui.
I
But
would
anyway,
promote Amarui.
yeah, I mean,
I think
probably
he would. Yeah, I would promote Amarui. I think
he's the
he'll
most likely
benefit
to
a
help.
lot
Yeah.
from as many practices as possible.
So I think that's the thing now too with the way they changed the two ways. I think he can practice unlimitedly with the Wizards, and they practice in the same building. He just can't play in more than 50 games.
Okay.
So I don't know. You might want him for more than that over the course of the year too. So he might be the guy worth playing. So we'll see. All right, let's run through the roster here. This is Thanksgiving. We got to keep it themed a little bit here, and we'll just do one quick thing we're thankful for each player on the roster. So I'm going to start this in alphabetical order. First one we got is Deni Avdija. I'm going to go first on this one. The improved shooting. I think that's always been the thing for him. If he could make a couple shots, he keeps people honest. They have to close out on him. Now he can drive and kick a little bit. That's like always been the missing piece to his game. So I'm glad we're finally seeing, improvement there.
Yeah. With Denny, I'm thankful for him growing his game, being the confident player he is this year, but also thankful for him being you really don't recognize it, but he's the foundation of this team, right? Like he's our most solid player.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Consistent.
no matter what happens, you still know he's going to be the structure of Deni Avdija is going to be there.
He's been the most consistent two-way player by a pretty wide margin, I think. Some guys have been better offensively some nights. Maybe somebody's been better defensively
You
a few nights.
You can trust him. You can depend on him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next one we've got is Patrick Baldwin Jr. Haven't seen a lot of him. I think this is kind of messed up, but I'm thankful that we don't owe him a lot of years and a lot of money because I don't see that in our long-term future personally so far.
I'm thankful that he had the wherewithal to get to this point.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? Like people don't understand guys like him, the journey they take to get here.
Yep.
You have to have some will and you have to keep fighting because there's a many of doors that close in your face. So I'm thankful he had the wherewithal to get to this point and there's people out there that still like that.
That was a much nicer answer than mine. So now I feel bad. That was a good one though. Jared Butler, I think just having a solid, like scrappy point guard to run the go-go, I think that's the best way to have all those other guys look respectable in that context is just this guy will defend, he will get you the ball, he will hit open shots. And if you have like I don't know, the G League gets a little sloppy and disorganized sometimes. So when you have a real guy running the show, I think that's to everybody's benefit. So I appreciate that about Butler.
Yeah, I'm thankful that the Wizards have a guy like that they can go grab if they need to.
Yeah.
Right. So, which, helps just the thought process out. Like, okay, when you're looking at our roster right now and you say, well, oh, you got to remember Jared Butler's down there.
Mhm.
So we still have a guy. So I'm
Yep.
thankful for that. Right.
No, that's a great answer. I totally agree with that. Coulibaly, just thankful for the hope. Like, I have more hope for the future because he's been as good as he is. Like, this is keeping me uplifted during the season.
Uh, I'm thankful the NBA is getting more. It's getting tough now. Those
Yeah.
the non-American players are just as good or better than American players right now, which is
Mhm.
crazy, which is
Come a
concerning.
long way. Yeah.
But for the Wizards, I'm thankful that he's in the mindset of a non-American player, right?
Mhm.
And I'm thankful that you can still. It's refreshing to see that type of player still exists that
Yeah.
likes that
Team
that
basketball
that
and things.
likes team basketball
Yeah.
first, right?
Yep.
That puts everything puts the concept of winning first, and he's not selfish, but and he's still completely effective. Which, if we see the small things and everything he does for this team, think about how every other team sees the same thing,
Yep.
because you don't see that anymore.
Mhm.
So I'm thankful that he's keeping the hope of like
Playing the
good
right way.
basketball
And yeah.
alive.
Yeah. No, I agree. Hopefully it rubs off on everybody else too. That would be
It
nice.
won't, but either way.
I can dream. Uh, Johnny Davis. I am thankful that this dude is just, hey, they put him out there. He comes out. He plays hard defensively. The minutes yo-yo, the role yo-yos, the confidence seems to waver a lot offensively, but you can count on him to go up and strap his guy up. And at the very least, I appreciate that every time.
I'm thankful for Johnny Davis to stay with it and still be able to, be on the court
Yeah.
and grow with this team.
Mhm.
And not give in.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be easy to be rattled, right? I mean, especially
Yeah,
coming in and
right.
the pedigree he had.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Johnny Davis, he was reportedly going to be out with a questionable because of a left elbow sprain that he hurt in the preseason. So maybe that's something he's been dealing with too. But they did say he was actually available to play last night, everything. So, or 2 nights ago. So maybe just one of those things that'll linger, have some soreness here and there. So something to keep an eye on moving forward. Daniel Gafford, what do you got on Gafford?
I'm thankful he got hurt.
Okay.
That injury that happened, and then we had to look at all the other bigs that wasn't up to par, and he wasn't playing up to par before that happened.
Yeah. Oh, the
Whatever
ankle, right?
epiphany happened when he hurt himself,
Yeah.
I'm thankful he hurt himself,
He's been a different
because
dude.
the Daniel Gafford that has came back, I can definitely deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No complaints.
He's definitely not the person that who he was before he was hurt. He sat there and saw. He sat there on that bench and saw, okay, we're not getting this. We're not getting this. Oh, we're not. It opened up another portal for him mentally that he didn't see before. He was blind to me,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's out there saying, okay, we need rim protection. He's blocking shots. He's scoring. Right. He's playing tough sometimes. He's off the damn floor on his back. I don't even see the last time he's been on his back lately.
No, I
Right?
don't remember any from the Bucks game at least.
He's running the floor. He's playing perimeter defense. He's a Daniel Gafford now. It seemed like he had epiphany. Say, "Oh man, you know what? I can make it in this league. Not only I can, I'm choosing to stick around."
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know how hard I was on him.
Yeah, for sure.
I was killing him because
You saw this guy in there. Yeah.
because I saw a guy like, man, you got all this potential. It's not like you're incapable.
Mm-hmm.
And now he realized his capabilities. Give
Does,
him the entire turkey.
I love that. Does that just help sometimes having to like being forced to sit on the bench and watch the game for a little bit?
Yes,
Yeah.
man, that's the best. That's that's the worst and the best antidote ever, right?
Mhm.
You got to because you got to take all that bad medicine.
Yep.
But not only that, every time someone's in your position doing something, a move, you're like, that's the wrong move. You should have did this,
Yeah. You learn.
right?
Yeah.
So now you're watching what now you're critiquing what he should have done, right? And all the critiques you're doing, you're saying, what if I'm seeing this because I can do it?
Mhm.
So he realized half the things he was saying that he would do, he just wasn't doing them.
Right now
So,
I know to go out and do that. Yeah.
so now I know, yeah, exactly.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a good one. I hadn't thought of that for Gafford. I was just going to say that he's trying to take on the challenge a little bit more, but I think that's really the piece of it. Like is what caused him to do that. And you're right, it really did. Those first 2 games before he fell, or before he rolled the ankle, it was like look a
Right.
little rough, and he's been a better guy. Danilo Gallinari, I think just any like a bigger, slower guy like that can still score. He's got to have like tips and tricks and things he's learned, anything he can pass along to any of these younger guys before he ends up on his next team, I think is a valuable addition. So I'm thankful for his experience and wisdom.
I'm thankful for his wisdom. And I think the person who he can help with that wisdom out on our team now would be Kuzma,
Mhm.
Deni, and Kispert.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because he knows how to score. He's
Without being able
learned,
to leave the
okay,
ground. Like,
I'm working smarter. Like
yeah,
I'm more experienced. I can't get off the ground. I can't do this, but I guarantee able to get. So everybody should be asking him how do
yeah.
you right? Because I want to be sound without having to always depend on my athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
And he perfected that. Another guy who was just like that on our team was Popeye Jones. I'm like, Popeye, how you getting? How I'm walking out with 8 rebounds? You walking out with 13? You
Yeah,
can't get off the ground,
yeah,
right?
yeah. You need a
Like
couple of those
that.
guys,
That's the information. That's like those the gems you really want,
right? He's got a cheat code somewhere that he can pass
right?
along
I
to you.
need that cheat code.
Yeah. They've shown Gallinari a couple times in like one-on-one games after practice, and it's like, okay, everyone should have their notebook out and be like writing down like
Right.
what are the little tricks he does to get shots off. Uh, Anthony Gill, veteran leadership, I guess. The guy didn't get cut ahead of some younger guys, so he must be literally the best leader of all time. So thankful for that.
I'm thankful that teams are still keeping guys like Anthony Gill to be able to pass on information,
Yeah, that's right.
right? Because that information is vital. Without the information that he can give, you know, we might lose that that sound history a little bit, right?
Yeah, the professionalism that he brings, like that kind of
Right.
stuff.
So I'm glad that we have somebody there to show everybody else, hey, this is what the NBA is.
Hmm. I like that. Tyus Jones, what do you got for Tyus?
I I, I like that he's becoming a better. He's offering a lot of offense to us that I didn't expect.
Yeah, he scored really well against that Bucks game in that
Right.
Bucks game
So
too.
he's been consistency about 11, 12 points,
Hmm.
which I didn't expect that part from him.
Yeah,
Right. So I'm thankful for that. Just, you know,
I think that's great. I would have said the same thing. I just the only thing I had was really solid with the ball too. I normally kind of shit on assist to turnover ratio as a stat sometimes,
well, we're
but
thankful for things right now.
yeah, exactly. But for him, I think it's been helpful. And
Yeah.
like last year with Monte Morris, I thought it was a little overinflated. With Tyus,
Mhm.
I think it's been him being secure and knowing he's not just gonna like lose the ball all over the place is it been allowing these other guys to get the ball in the right spots and facilitate for other people. So I think that's been the thing I've appreciated the most. Corey Kispert got good hair. I don't know. Hair game is always really strong. And the shooting. Guess I'll throw the shooting out there too.
Man, you talking so bad, man. Kispert, I like Kispert.
I do too. I'm just messing around. The
I like
defense has
Kispert.
been a little better the last couple games, I think.
Well, he has. I mean, Kispert, he's pretty much our best scorer on the second unit. Him and
Yeah,
outside of Coulibaly, right?
I think so.
You have to have Kispert out there on the second unit,
Yeah, things
and
really break down without his
and
shooting.
he hasn't lost any energy. He plays. He plays with with highest energy out of any player I've seen out there. You know, with that second, to me he's the player that offers the energy. Right? He's relentless. He's a good player. I mean, I'm glad we have him on the team.
You need at least one guy. He hasn't shot actually as well as I would have
Right.
thought this year. I thought there'd be a big jump, but teams guard him like he's an elite shooter, and I think that has almost as much an impact as actually making the shots. Like he
Mhm.
creates space for other guys, and you really need that. So I think the gravity he brings is the thing I'd probably be most thankful for.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Kuzma, I think one you could talk about any of the on the court stuff, but they all routinely still talk about this is the guy that pulls them aside, offers them tips. You have the photos of him with an arm around Coulibaly at the end of a game, pointing stuff out on the court. Like all the veteran leadership stuff is nice. This is always my expectation. Jahadi, tell me if I'm wrong here, but it's more impactful coming from a teammate that is actually out on the court doing it at a high level than a guy that's toward the tail end of his career that like Anthony Gill, none of these guys have seen do it at the highest level. Kuzma will potentially be an all-star this year. I'm going to take what he says, with a certain level of credibility and cachet. So I appreciate that he takes the mentor role seriously.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say too. I'm glad that we have a guy who still offers some mentorship. That's a leader and that's a face of the team.
Yep.
Right. And it didn't stick out as much last year. It really didn't stick out at all last year, other than like when he gets on the media right after the game, the media and what he says. I'm like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right. So he doesn't have an opinion, and it makes sense, right?
Yep.
Now you can see his mentorship with the other guys. You can really see it. He pulling it in. A few games ago, like 2 games actually, 2 different games, I'm seeing them kind of yell at them about the rotation where they're supposed to be, which
Mm-hmm.
means there is a guy on the team that still is buying into the defensive
Yeah. Just
principles
that
and scheme
accountability
and trying to
piece
get
we talked about.
everybody aligned in there, right?
Yeah.
And it sticks out more how much Kuzma mentorship is now that Jordan Poole is there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now you're like, okay, who do we have that we can trust to pull this team together? And you naturally just directly, key in the Kuzma.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that he's there for that.
Yeah, totally agree. Mike Muscala, got anything for Mike Muscala?
I'm glad he's on the team.
Yeah.
He's
We haven't seen much from him on the court.
we
This is a
haven't
tough
seen
one.
much.
Yeah.
He's effective, and I'm glad he can get up and down,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's a traditional old like sound big, not really offering as much as we need, but it's better to right now to have him than not to have somebody else to back up Gafford.
I think the thing with him is you don't have to worry about if he'll play hard. Like he's not like the most physically talented guy, but the effort's always there, and I think that's at a minimum something you need, and also potential for floor spacing. Like he had that one game where he hit a bunch of threes and
Yeah,
kept everybody honest. So
and he
I think
stretched the
that's kind
floor.
of nice. Eugene Amarui, what do you got for Amarui?
I like that we have Amarui. Amarui knows what his strengths are. He has to understand what his weaknesses are, because his weaknesses and his strengths sometimes are the same thing.
Okay, I like that.
Right. He's a very physical body, very active, very strong, but
A little too much sometimes.
the NBA is different.
Yeah.
Amarui would have been great in my days.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
He's got that Rutgers college basketball vibe to him
Right.
still, right? Like banging
But
people around and,
sometimes now the NBA is more sensitive than the college, though. Right.
I think
So
so.
it's
Yeah.
way more sensitive. I never seen the NBA this sensitive with the refs.
Yep.
So he has to say, okay, how can I mold and zone in my talent
Mm-hmm.
and make it fit in between this new game of the NBA?
Yep.
It's possible because you're different. You still have something that's not around anymore that people can use.
Mm-hmm.
You're active, you're physical, you're strong, you get down, you're a beast, right?
Definitely a beast. Yeah.
Now, how can I fit in between these lines?
It's channeling it the right way or at the right time.
Right, because it's so, and that's all. So I'm glad we have him, man. He a player we need, and he could be a great player for in the near future, or even, say for instance, if we were a playoff team, like that's a guy you would want to say, hey, all right, now we need you for these playoffs.
Yeah.
Right. He's
bring
that
energy
guy.
the whole time.
Right.
I'm going to steal this from you with regards to him because this was something you made a point about somebody last year, and I thought that I think it was Jordan Goodwin, was you need a guy like Amarui in practice. Like, he pushes everybody hard. They practice harder because that dude, his practices are his games, essentially. So he's going to practice hard. He's going to bring energy. He's going to push everybody. They have to work a little harder because he's out on the court. So I think that's a valuable addition, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Jordan Poole. Sometimes it's irrational confidence, but I appreciate the confidence. Like, I'm thankful to have a guy that, has like ultimate self-belief. I think some of that can be contagious to other guys in a good way. So it's about, channeling the mental aspect of him positively, and hopefully some of that like rubs off on his teammates to the right level. You don't need the irrational confidence so much, but the rational confidence portion of it, I think, is a good thing.
The confidence part comes with being a franchise player. So I don't care about the confidence part as much as, because anybody who's a franchise player guaranteed confident.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
right.
You made that money. You've gotten that recognition.
Man, it's more to me is buying in.
Okay.
Right. I'm thankful that he's trying to buy in. Right. I'm thankful that he's trying to learn. It's a lot that he doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's obvious on the court every day. It's a lot that he doesn't know. But he's talented enough to still contribute beyond what he doesn't know on the court. Right.
I like that. Yeah.
So, I want him to be passionate about winning.
Yeah, same.
Right? To be passionate about winning as a team. When you get that naturally, with the Golden State Warriors, he didn't have to be concerned about that. Right?
Yeah, you got to do it here.
And when in the playoffs, it showed that he wasn't concerned about it because he couldn't do everything in the playoffs that he could do during the regular season. So now say, okay, I got to change what I'm doing for the sake of the team for the win. So I'm just looking for the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm thankful that we possibly have a player we can grow with if he can grow into the program.
A lot of times when guys, struggle, it's because they're honestly like not that good. For him, this is underachieving, and we feel that way because there's a lot of talent there. So there's room for improvement. I think that's the positive way to look at it. He's got plenty of room to get better, and he's got the skill set to do it. So hopefully that works. Ryan Rollins. I love Ryan Rollins. Maybe my favorite, like, lesser heralded guy on the team. He comes in, he straps up, he attacks the basket, he gets other people involved. I have no complaints. I want to see the guy get more minutes. I'm thankful for just having another young, intriguing guard piece on the roster.
Yeah, I'm thankful that somebody is there to be excited about
Yeah.
that you really haven't got a chance to see enough of. But
Mhm.
the time you see him, you say, okay, we got a player there,
Yeah.
right?
I'm with you.
Right. So I think he deserves more time than he's getting.
Same.
More court time. Don't really understand what they're doing with him yet,
Same.
but hopefully it's something to keep them to have him growing. Sometimes it's, hey, we need to hire you to keep you.
Mhm.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
a good point. I actually didn't think about that. They kinda did
Right.
that with Goodwin the first year. It was like, "Oh, okay. You look a little too good.
Right.
Go back to the
Right.
bench for a
Yeah.
while."
Take your ass in the corner and camouflage.
Yep.
Blend in right now.
Exactly, yeah. We
Right.
wanna get that cheap next contract year too.
Right.
That's a good one. Uh, Landry Shamet. Anything for Shamet so far?
I like that he's starting to get comfortable out there and show himself. And not only that, now he's showing that he's being more aggressive, offensively too, in 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 certain situations, right? So, and it's really like the exposing ones, right? It's dynamic type of stuff that he's sometimes doing that I like,
Mhm.
and so I like that he's getting some exposure.
Yeah, same. Honestly, I had never heard Landry Shamet speak before being a Wizard, so I think that's been a interesting thing to hear some of his media comments. It's like every professional soundbite you'd wanna hear, like, it came out of the veterans playbook, and, again, a couple of those guys are not a bad thing to have. It seems like he's just like a professional dude. He's here to do his business. He's not acting annoyed that he's on a losing team after being on winning teams, like, come in, clock in, do my work, clock out. He's probably not here long term, so showing up and being professional the whole time, I think, is a valuable thing.
Yeah, you learn quickly. You better be grateful in this league, no matter what team you with. And it's
Yep.
gonna be some slow seasons, some
Mhm.
long drawn out season just because it may be losing, not a winning season, but it's better in the real world. You better be grateful.
Yeah, totally agree. In the chat, it never makes no sense. Said Rollins is getting all the on-ball reps in the G League. I think they're trying to develop him as a point guard. That might be it. Is get him,
Yeah, I agree too.
you know, hey, exposure is good in some way, shape, or form. There. All right, the last one we got here, DeLon Wright. Uh, Tough with because he's hurt right now. We haven't seen as much on the court, but the guy is so savvy as an off-ball defender, especially. I think any of these young guys can learn something from him. And again, same thing like with Gallinari. Any tricks they can pick up, I'm happy that they get to pick his brain.
Yeah, the line right is solid.
Yeah.
Solid, good player. He can score when you need him to score. Runs the offense when you need him to run the offense. Has a lot of information he can pass on,
Mhm.
even to Tyus to me.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? He can pass on a lot of information to Tyus because the line right fulfills the things that Tyus struggle with,
Mhm.
right? And then vice versa sometimes.
Yep.
Um, but he can really, really, to me, the person he helped most is Poole.
Yeah, that's a good one, honestly. The other stuff, right? Like, it's everything Jordan Poole doesn't do, DeLon Wright can do. So,
Vision,
yeah,
vision, instincts, um, pace,
read a defense. Yeah,
defense.
yeah, yeah. That would be nice. Any of that
Right.
rubs off, we're better off for it.
Yeah.
Uh, that's a good call. And then didn't have them on the list, but just really thankful for the new front office, and honestly thankful Ted Leonsis for like going down this path. I don't think I could have done another 33 win season or whatever where that was the ceiling. So this is bad record wise, but at least there's some hope for the future, and I trust the moves these guys have made mostly so far. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I like where we can go. I like the possibilities.
Yeah, same. Last thing I got here for you, and then we'll get out of here. Patrick Beverly does his podcast, and he talked about the Wizards and what a shit show they are, and how they're losing a ton of games, and you need good vets. Uh, you shouldn't lock. They don't look locked in essentially, and everything he said was true. But also, I'm like weirdly protective of this team, so I don't want to see other people talk shit about our team. So Patrick Beverley can kick rocks and get out of here. I don't want to hear that from him. Like
Well,
the
not
media's
from him.
piling on, man. Like just leave us alone. Let us rebuild. No other rebuilding team gets this much shit. No one's trashing the Spurs. No one's trashing the Pistons. The Wizards are the punching bag. So just go away.
It wouldn't be as bad. It wouldn't be. It's just when you start getting on those reels for the wrong reason.
The Shaqtin' a Fool kind of stuff.
When you
Yeah.
get on the Shaqtin' the Fool and just crazy reels, and you don't want the lowlights.
It's true.
And the problem with the reason that we're getting kind of, being a punching bag right now, I saw on NBA Today or NBA Inside or what Inside the NBA, it was killing us. And it was just the silly lowlights.
Yeah.
And it's only really pretty much coming from one person.
It's true.
And that's why.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we just kind of just go under the radar and just
be quietly in the
check
background.
on, like, we're not good, but we just kind of not good under the radar. But those lowlights that go around the universe brings attention.
Yep. Yeah, when Barkley knows enough about some of the guys on your team, that's a bad sign. I don't think he knows the Pistons are bad this year, but he's watched enough Wizards to know that there's some dumb shit going on here.
Yes.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like Wizards fans, if you want to critique the Wizards, cool. But it's the guys who aren't watching this team other than those low lights. It's like, I don't know. They had all these lists of like top 10 rookies, and Bilal Coulibaly appears on almost none of them. Like Zach Lowe for ESPN, who watches every team, actually had Coulibaly on there and gave him some love. But the rest of these guys, man, nobody mentions him. So like, enough about us to know Jordan Poole is doing some dumb shit, but you haven't seen Coulibaly do one nice thing. That there aren't 10 better rookies than him this year. Anyone who thinks that is crazy.
It's not. It's not. And think about Coulibaly. If he was on any team, he'd be doing this.
I agree. Exactly what he's doing. It's not a bunch of points
transferable
on a bad team.
Anywhere. Yeah. It's transferable throughout the NBA, no matter his style of play, whatever team he's on.
Yeah.
So we're just getting exposure for all the wrong reasons, and we're not. And the good things that's happening, the wrong reasons are covering up.
Yep.
The growth of and the exposure that certain people who should get it aren't getting it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sad, but that's the reason why.
Yeah, no, you're right. I hadn't thought about that way, but that's got to be it, unfortunately. Partner, that's all I had for you. Anything you want to close us out with here?
No, man. Enjoy your family, man. Enjoy, eat a lot of food, and we get back in the gym.
You don't have to worry about me eating a lot of food on this Thanksgiving. This is my favorite holiday of the year, so I'm gonna be sluggish and pick up on Monday. I mean, rolling down the court, I think.
All right, man.
Thankful to everybody who is listening to the show and been supporting us throughout the year. I know it's not always fun to listen to a podcast about a 2-11 team, so we appreciate everybody being locked in. Hopefully, we bring you guys some different aspects of the game to focus on, and the positives and stuff like that, with a balanced. Hey, here are the things that aren't so good too. So, trying to give you a little bit of everything. So, thanks for everybody checking in. Jahadi, thank you for you. Thankful to BetOnline for sponsoring the show. Rate, review, subscribe. We're always thankful for those, and we will catch you all next time.
Peace.